I also want to thank everyone in the federal court who's worked so hard to make today a reality, the Immigration and Naturalization Service team, also the post office that's here. Afterwards, if you want to get a passport, there's a room in back, you can do that, and the Massachusetts Immigration and Refugee Advocacy Coalition. If you want to register to vote, literally you can do that after you've been sworn in while you're here. So we're thrilled that all of you can be here. The John Kennedy Library is really a story of an immigrant. That 2 generations before John Kennedy became president, both sets of grandparents came here from Ireland. There was a potato famine in Ireland, and they settled in Boston without a lot of means, and they faced a lot of discrimination in those early days. Within 2 generations, their grandson became the President of the United States of America. So maybe someday, for those of you being sworn in today, I'll be visiting a presidential library of one of your grandkids. You never know what might happen. You never know what might happen. President Kennedy never forgot his roots. In fact, he wrote a book called A Nation of Immigrants. It's an issue that was very important to him personally. And in this, he said briefly, quote, "Our attitude towards immigration reflects our faith in the American ideal. We have always believed it is possible for men and women who start at the bottom to rise as far as their talent and energy allow. Neither race, nor creed, nor place of birth should affect their chances." President John Kennedy could have been talking about each one of you and the faith that we have in each one of you. He also, during his inauguration address, and you have this on your seat, one of the phrases that he said then is he said very famously, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country." Our country needs your help. We need your wisdom. We need your hard work. We're thrilled that you are part of this team, and we fundamentally believe that together, working together, we can make the country better, our country, your country, better going forward. So we're so thrilled. Congratulations for all that you've done to be here and for what's about to happen in the coming minutes. Before we do that, I want to introduce a very special guest, our speaker, Mr. Mohamad Ali. He is the CEO of a company called Carbonite, and many years ago was naturalized at a ceremony just like this in the United States. And he'll tell his story much, much better than I can, but to tell you today, the company that he runs has over 1,000 employees, has revenues of over $225 million. He has several degrees, including a master's degree in electrical engineering at Stanford. He is here with several members of his family and has a powerful story. So please join me to welcome Mr. Mohamad Ali.
My fellow immigrants, buenas tardes. Does anyone here speak Spanish? Buenas tardes. Gracias. Masa al khair, and good afternoon. I am deeply moved by the opportunity to be here today to share this momentous occasion with you and to personally return to the ceremony that created more possibilities for me than I could have dreamt of. It was 1981, 36 years ago, when my mom and I arrived in America at the John F. Kennedy Airport in New York City. We had a total of $34 in our pockets, combined. After clearing customs, we approached a big and scary machine. We had never seen such a thing before and did not know how to use it. Later, we learned that that machine was called an escalator. At that moment, looking up from the bottom of the escalator, the idea that I would one day be CEO of a company and be selected to speak at this event was unfathomable. If you had told me that I would be standing here today, I would have thought you were mad. How could this be possible? This is possible because this is America. My brothers and sisters, my message to you today is simple. Despite the many challenges we face as a country today, the American dream is alive and real. You can be the hardworking American mechanic whom the community respects, like my father. You can be the CEO of a company, like me. Your daughter can be the governor of a state, like Nikki Haley in South Carolina. And your descendant can be the President of the United States, like President John F. Kennedy, great-grandson of immigrants. Your dreams and your dreams for your children, however modest or grand, can be real. I stand before you today as a real-life example, and I will share with you a bit of my story. Your story may be similar, or it may be different, but we have one thing in common. We have worked hard, very hard, to earn the right to be called Americans. And my friends, we will continue to have to work hard to protect that right. I was born in Guyana. I was born in 1970 under the rule of a dictator in the country of Guyana. In that very year of my birth, Guyana established relations with North Korea and the Soviet Union, declared the country as a cooperative republic, and banned imports into the country, including flour. I was sure it was to celebrate my birth. Our president started nationalizing industries, and by 1979, the private sector was reduced to only 10% of the economy. There was widespread shortage of food and fuel. The water supply stopped working where I lived, and the electricity was often out. My parents had both grown up in very poor families. My mother worked in the rice fields from the age of 12 and could not afford shoes. My father came from a large family of subsistence farmers. My mother worked hard and eventually became a teacher, and my father a police officer. A police officer did not make much money in Guyana, nor did a teacher, but we had a home made from wood instead of mud, and enough money to buy the basics. The problem was that there was little to buy, so the government told us to grow vegetables. Without running water, we walked long distances to fetch water from the village well or nearby streams for the vegetables. There was also a shortage of gas and kerosene for the stoves to cook food, so people built mud stoves and burned wood. In 1980, my parents decided this was no life for their 3 young children, then 3, 5, and 10 years old, and that my father would go in search of opportunities for his family and come back for us at some time. But he was scared to leave. How would we fend for ourselves? How would we procure the basics? My mother insisted that he go. She was, and still is, a small but determined woman, and she would protect her children by herself. The following 4 years were very difficult. Eventually, my father found his way to America. My mother and I came a year later, and 3 years later, my younger brother and sister arrived. Being away from her 2 youngest children for 3 years, much longer than expected, was torture for my mother. But at the end of these 4 years, we were all back together, living in near poverty in New York, but together and hopeful. In 1991, we became citizens in a ceremony like this one. I went on to get engineering degrees from Stanford University, worked at IBM and Hewlett-Packard, and today I am CEO of Carbonite. You, my brothers and sisters, who have seen this type of hardship, and in many cases, even worse hardship, know what a gem America is. You are the best of humanity, and we, the immigrants who came before you, whether last year or 100 years ago, are proud to count you as equal among us. I know that you will vigilantly defend your new freedoms, your new country, and our joint values, despite the challenges that those freedoms and values face today in America. You will work hard, you will study hard, create businesses, create jobs, build our American economy. Because you know what life is like elsewhere, and you chose America. It is from the best of humanity, immigrants to this land, that America is built. You have been our nation's strength and will continue to be. Your citizenship is our badge of honor and our hope. My fellow immigrants, the American dream is alive and real. Today, you are an equal member of our society. I urge you to participate in every way you can, in politics, in education, in your community, for the betterment of you, your family, and our country. Thank you, and very shortly, we will be able to say congratulations, but I will withhold that until the oath is delivered. Thank you.
Mr. Ali, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Let me add just two words here, two themes. First of all, I want to say to each one of you, and on behalf of all your fellow citizens, the warmest and most sincere welcome. This court session is very personal for me. My mother sat where you sit now and took this same oath. My daughter-in-law, and they let her sit up front, I had the privilege of presiding when she was naturalized. So this is a very special court session for me, and I hope for you. And second, I would just add the words, and Mr. Ali said it far better than I can. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for all the hard work and study and preparation that you put into becoming citizens of the United States of America. This country, more than a place, is an idea. It's a democratic republic, an idea of how people might live together in peace and harmony, how they might live together and together work out their destiny, respecting the rights of each individual. It has well and truly been said that we are, all of us, a nation of immigrants. By your presence here, you make our country more learned, more humane, more innovative, more loving, stronger than we ever would be without you. And most sincerely, I thank you for your presence here at this session of the court. Thank you.